What is more challenging is get the materials in small quantities actually for development. So the development name of that was unicorn ink.
Welcome to the IDUN Technologies podcast. My name is Mark Melnykowycz, and I'm joined today by our material science superstar, Katja.
Hey everybody!
And we are actually entering a new phase of the Corona story, where we have more relaxed guidelines for mask wearing in the office. So we can actually do this ohne Maske.
Wow.
It feels like a new day in Switzerland, feels like something is changing over. What's new in IDUN?
Yeah, the newest thing at IDUN that we have is our new Guardian Development Kit.
The Guardian Development Kit.
Mm-hmm.
We also have some other products you've worked on. So actually first, we should probably set the stage, who you are, what you do, why you're an amazing part of the team. How did you come to IDUN? Because I think you're one of the earlier employees, actually.
Yeah, you're right. So in my last job, I was not so happy anymore. I felt that I didn't really make impact with the work that I do, so I actively looked for a different opportunity, specifically in a startup, because there all the work, all the love you put into the work really has an impact and helps to bring the company forward, and also you have a big chance to develop your own skills. So I saw the open position and I thought the job description fit very well, so I immediately applied. And I got the job. That's how it all started, yeah.
That's interesting, because some people just actively get themselves fired before going to a startup, either accidentally or on purpose. So it's nice to hear you did a smoother transition from one field to the other.
Yeah, that's true.
And you also have a certain personality, I think, that also translates from like the inspiration that you bring to the team to the actual product and the branding and kind of like how we work together. Why is there a unicorn behind you?
Okay, the official reason is it was a birthday present from Simon, I think.
Our CEO and co-founder.
I think 1.5 years ago. And unofficially, so the development name of our unique conductive material that is the core of our electrodes. So the development name of that was unicorn ink. I have it always behind me when I sit on at my desk.
Yeah.
And everybody likes it when I have it. You know, I have it in the background during the Teams calls and stuff, and everybody's like, you have a unicorn there.
Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's always been a fixture since I've been at the company, and it feels like the sort of inspiration that but it's not related to the idea of like a unicorn billion-dollar startup.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's cool.
It's related to our amazing electrode material.
Because like many times when people think about startups, they think about like UX designers, they think about like product. I really don't hear too many. I know of some startups that are like very material science based. I guess coming from Zurich and ETH, we have a lot of companies that do like cool 3D printers and stuff. But like, how do you feel being like a material scientist in a startup?
That's a good question. I feel good. I mean, IDUN started out similar, like you described just now. We were more focused on the actual material. So it was, I don't know, I felt just natural in the company. And then in the last few months, we more developed the company in a more holistic way. So we have now the materials department we have the software data, we have the electronic side, and the neuropsychology side. So it's not all the focus on the material anymore, but of course the material for the electrodes is needed for the whole product. So I feel very integrated into the whole team. And also working together with the different departments gives me the chance to learn new things, and they always give you feedback, what they need in terms of properties for the electrodes, and this also helps me very much in the development, actually.
But actually, I mean, to a large extent, the USP of the whole company actually resides on your shoulders. Do you ever feel that way?
In the beginning, yes. So when we developed our first product, the Dryod Alpha, which can be seen here. Is there actually something inside? No. It's the wrong one. Okay. I don't know. I think everybody knows it already. Dryod Alpha. This was for ECG measurements mainly. I mean, with this, all the focus was on the electrode, on the material, and kind of how you put it together to make it work, right? Yeah. So there I felt very much the whole weight, the whole success of the company was dependent on my work, kind of. And
now, so I guess when the company, as you said, we now have different departments, so now do you feel like it's more integrated?
Yeah, and also the pressure is now on all the departments, not just on me. I also have a small team at the moment, 2 very good students from ETH, Department of Material Science, and they really help me and support IDUN, and this is really helpful, really good.
I mean, that makes me think about the ETH ecosystem again, because it seems like people talk about Zurich being a good place for startups because of the deep tech ecosystem. And sometimes I go to other places that, I mean, doesn't have this type of university. Of course, if you go to somewhere like Munich, you have TU München. But like, do you feel like you can always have the resources that you need as a material scientist? Because the stuff we do is like super specialized.
It is super specialized, but I feel that because of ETH, we get in terms of resources as interns or new employees. We have a good place here in Zurich. What is more challenging is get the materials in small quantities actually for development.
Yeah.
But that's this way everywhere. It's just because of how industry works, right?
Yeah, sure. I saw that also in automotive.
Yeah, that's also a huge pain there.
Actually, you also came from automotive.
Yeah.
From automotive to brain-computer interface development.
Yeah, what a journey, right? And in the end, it all comes together. You can steer your car with your brain.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking a lot about different automotive applications for the BCIs right now.
Yeah.
And so what was like the biggest change for you coming from, because at least for me, it was more of a structured, very linear development. And then startups are traditionally supposed to be very lean, iterative. Do you feel like there was a lot of adjustments to do?
Yes. Yeah. So in my former job, everything was very strict, very proper. Everything was like vorgegeben. What is it called? Like,
I mean, we always had these. It was just like a very linear project development. I guess you would waterfall project process, as we call it.
More or less. Yeah, here we are doing lots of things all at once. For example, when we developed the Guardian, like every department was in the phase of development. So it was really difficult to align, and then suddenly some part in the electronics changed and the electrodes didn't work. Then we had to figure out, was it because of the most recent change in the electrodes or the most recent change in the electronics? And it's all interconnected, and it's not so straightforward. It's a big challenge, but I feel you also learn a lot.
So now you've gone from working on the very as you say, simple product to something BCIs. I mean, the BCI, it's probably one of the most complex things you can build as a startup almost from a small team, because you have hardware, materials, software, full stack, all in one thing. I mean, what do you want to do next with your life if you think about careers and or growing or?
Wow, Mark. Those questions. It's like a job interview. Like, imagine yourself in 10 years.
I mean, I can never answer those questions.
Yeah.
Like,
for me, it's also very difficult. I mean, if someone would have asked me 10 years ago, where do you imagine yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
I would never have imagined to be here today, to have developed a very cool, very nice, very soft electrode material, packaging. I would have never thought I would do that. And life is full of surprises, so I have not really big plans that are set in stone. I just want to be happy. I want to always learn, and I want my work to have an impact, a good impact.
Yeah.
That's more or less my goal.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Maybe a small greenhouse. But
yeah, I mean, we keep on, I think, bringing different green plants into the office.
Yeah,
Actually, is that
fake.
one real?
No.
Yeah, that one's fake.
But the one behind you is real.
Yeah, we have to keep watering them and grow the technology and the ecosystem. So what do you, like, what impact do you feel your work is going to have with BCIs now?
Big impact. I mean, basically the whole kit or our whole BCI system wouldn't be possible without the electrode material that we developed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting to think about, because it's like this one linchpin, and we always talk about like defensibility between different startups or within an ecosystem. And yeah, I always felt it was really special that we could develop the electrodes in-house, as opposed to trying to find something that's mass-produced but not exactly fit what we want to do with the product design. So it's been really amazing having everything in one place.
Yeah. I mean, the next big challenge for my, I don't know, future month or a few years at IDUN is making the electrode mass producible. So
scalability.
Scalability. Yeah, that's a
the
huge
word of the day.
thing.
So how did you even come to material science? Like, what interests you about it?
That's also a good question. So yeah, I come from chemistry. So I studied chemistry at university in Zurich, and then I somehow got the opportunity to join a PhD program at ETH, and that was in the Department of Material Science, so in the area of polymer chemistry. And yeah, I had a really cool, fascinating project there. And because it was related to polymers, I then started my first job also in the area of polymers. And when you are in the polymer section, you are kind of automatically in the material science.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's interesting to see, you know, how different if you change the polymer. Let's say if you use a polymer for a little product, different hardnesses of the polymer. It's interesting to see how this changes the properties of your final product. You know, the softness or the squishiness, or how it feels for the customer, and so on.
Yeah, one time I was doing a little talk for some science students, and I think they were asking something about, you know, if you're doing fashion, for example, like, what does it matter to know about science? And then I think I answered something about, you know, every surface you touch, like, it's been engineered in some form or another.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, literally the way that we interact with the world on every aspect, like the material science is in it. But I kind of feel material science never gets the superstar status that it deserves.
Yeah, I mean it's way more fancy in the software and hacker and stuff, you know.
Exactly. But it's like the UX of materials. It's something. It's actually super important, but it's like, at least I never feel like it's at the forefront of things.
Yeah.
Maybe unless you're like really in the product design department, but then still you're like using these off-the-shelf materials and trying to bring them together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was like just an amazing opportunity to work at this intersection between the materials and the understanding of humans and consciousness. Yeah, we had a lot of these concepts around like smart materials, and people also, you know, sometimes you look at things that are coming out of MIT or different research areas, and they're talking about like adaptable material systems, materials that are like interacting with the environment, but sometimes I feel like it's just science marketing.
Yeah, I mean, there it comes to make a fancy publication.
Yeah.
And some of those projects are really cool, and what they can make, it's so fascinating, and you think, wow, I mean, I would never have thought of that, or that is possible, and then they make it. But you know, it's a different story having it developed in a lab where like 5 PhD students work on it for 5 years, versus bringing it to the end customer, making it mass producible, or just it's such a different story.
Yeah, I mean, because like also like the nano texturing of different materials, or the micro texturing to do things like, you know, create these hydrophobic surfaces, and yeah, maybe you can do it in the lab and you can do a publication, but then like if you want to scale it, then all of a sudden you realize that, you know, you can't like texture via laser like an entire aircraft wing to reduce the drag. Like it's just not going to scale. Yeah,
it's just too expensive, or just impossible.
So what's so is this like working in a startup? I mean, it has to scale. Like, are there any specific challenges that you encountered?
Always,
every day?
Yeah, always, every day. I mean, of course, we have a small lab, so you start out making everything by hand, right? You try out different stuff, you build different prototypes, you develop a little process for in-house, for like small scale sample production, and then there's the challenge to bring it to a larger scale. So we have limited equipment, we have limited space, limited workforce, and often we work together with partners from the industry, but there's always the problem to transfer the process from our in-house to, I mean, firsthand to another facility, and then to a different process which is more automated. It's always difficult.
Yeah, and it's always a dream. What would you do with more resources?
What
would you do if you had an extra 100,000, 500,000 in your budget?
Yeah, there for sure. I mean, I would really like to buy a better microscope and some equipment needed for the upscaling of the Guardian electrode ear tips.
Yeah, that's a cool challenge. I think you're finding a solution to day by day.
I mean, there's also a DIY extruder on the internet. There's a Anleitung. I don't know what's it called at the moment. Instructions. So there are instructions for a DIY small extruder. That would be cool. Maybe we can build it together. That would be amazing.
That would be awesome. Yeah, it's always a question: is it going to make more sense to build the thing yourself, or to just buy one?
Yeah.
If you have the budget.
Of course, if you have the budget, yes.
Cool. So it's really cool to hear about your journey coming from industry to IDUN.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about what's coming in the next year? We have our slogan in IDUN from our data scientist. make it happen in 2021.
Yeah, make it happen.
You were integral in making the Internet
Yeah.
of Humans happen.
Yeah, exactly. So
What do you think about
Should we have a look?
when you? Yes, let's open it up. What do you think about when you're gazing upon the Guardian?
yeah, it's like a baby, but it doesn't scream, so it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, Mark, it was a really cool idea of you to go with these cases. You know them from photography.
Yes, I've spent much money on photography cases that sit in my apartment.
Yeah.
Very cool to have ones that are being used for something.
Yeah. No, those are really cool. So yeah, we started out the packaging with these little suitcases. And then we wanted to make it as simple as possible, of course. We didn't stick to it, so we now have this fancy designed foam inserts, designed and made by me.
Those are really cool. I love those.
So everything has its place there. So you have the electrodes, the different sizes, small, medium, large. You have the bridge in here, the electronics for connection to the internet. You have the brain box, which is sending the collected signal from your ear via the bridge to the internet. Yeah, you have all the cables that you need, and you have the earpieces here. Yeah, I mean, I really love how it turned out. The product is very well protected in there.
Yeah.
Since it's a fancy photography suitcase, it's also waterproof. And so we can make sure that this arrives in perfect condition for the customer.
Yeah.
And also the customer has the opportunity to store every needed component in this small handy suitcase. And maybe take it somewhere for some outdoor BCI adventures or, I don't know, measuring in the train or, I mean.
Yeah, it's super cool. And we just shipped the first one yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, the
big relief.
Yeah, that was a big relief. So.
And we look forward to shipping more in the future, I would say.
Yeah.
So thank you for being the integral part of making that happen.
Thank you for setting up this whole system and being the podcast expert and asking so many difficult questions.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Well, then thank you. This was the first almost post-COVID IDUN podcast.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing how the world is going to be changing over the next half year and how we can help impact that change with our Guardian brain-computer interface.
It will be very interesting in the next few months.
Yes. Making it happen in 2021.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone out there, and we will talk to you soon. Ciao.
Bye.
Adieu.